On October 13th, 2025, a very important meeting happened. President Donald Trump of the United States met with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in Jerusalem. This meeting was historic, meaning it was a big moment for history. It came after 2 years of a terrible war that caused much sadness and fighting in the Middle East. For the first time in over 2 years, there was a real ceasefire in Gaza. A ceasefire means that the fighting stopped. This brought quiet to the area, which had been full of noise and danger for a long time. People in Gaza could finally feel a moment of peace. Many hoped this quiet would last and lead to something better. This ceasefire was a big step towards trying to end the war. President Donald Trump arrived in Israel. People there were very happy to see him. It was like a hero's welcome. Israeli President Isaac Herzog and Prime Minister Netanyahu met him when he landed. The Israeli Parliament building, called the Knesset, had flags from both the U.S. and Israel. Electronic signs showed "Welcome to the Knesset, President Trump." Many Israelis felt thankful for his visit. They saw him as someone who could help bring peace after a long, hard time. The whole world was watching this meeting. Leaders from many different countries were paying close attention. They hoped that this moment would lead to a new start for the region. After so much conflict, there was a strong hope for peace. This day was seen as a chance to change the future of the Middle East, moving away from war and towards a time of stability and calm. This meeting began a new effort for peace. 2. The hostages come home. The carefully planned peace deal led by President Donald Trump started its first important phase. This day marked a true turning point for many, especially for the families involved. Hamas, the group that had held people captive, released 7 Israeli hostages. These individuals were brought out of Gaza and handed over to the Red Cross. For many, this was a moment of overwhelming joy and deep relief, ending a painful wait of more than 2 long years. Imagine waiting for over 700 days, wondering about your loved one's fate. These Israeli families had endured constant worry, fear, and uncertainty. Each day felt endless, not knowing if they would ever see their family members again. Now they could finally embrace their sons, daughters, fathers, and mothers. The air was filled with emotional tears and heartfelt smiles as these families reunited. 2. The hostages come home. The carefully planned peace deal led by President Donald Trump started its first important phase. This day marked a true turning point for many, especially for the families involved. Hamas, the group that had held people captive, released 7 Israeli hostages. These individuals were brought out of Gaza and handed over to the Red Cross. For many, this was a moment of overwhelming joy and deep relief, ending a painful wait of more than 2 long years. Imagine waiting for over 700 days, wondering about your loved one's fate. These Israeli families had endured constant worry, fear, and uncertainty. each day felt endless, not knowing if they would ever see their family members again. Now they could finally embrace their sons, daughters, fathers, and mothers. The air was filled with emotional tears and heartfelt smiles as these families reunited. President Trump understood the profound human impact of this moment. He planned to personally welcome the freed hostages, highlighting the importance of their safe return beyond the diplomatic details. This gesture showed a clear focus on the personal suffering caused by the conflict. This initial release of 7 people was a crucial first step in a much bigger plan. The agreement outlined a pathway for freedom for all the remaining 20 surviving hostages. In addition, for the 28 other hostages who had tragically died, their remains would be returned to their grieving families. In exchange for these releases, Israel agreed to free approximately 2,000 Palestinian prisoners. This comprehensive exchange aimed to bring a measure of peace and finality to all sides, addressing a long-standing issue. Vice President J.D. Vance spoke about the difficult reality that some of the deceased hostages' bodies might never be fully recovered. However, he expressed hope that even the return of remains would provide essential closure for their families, allowing them to mourn properly. The entire peace plan represented a significant effort to heal the deep wounds left by the terrible war. People everywhere watched closely, hoping that more hostages would come home soon, bringing an end to their ordeal and fostering greater peace in the region. This first action proved that, even after such a long and hard time, positive change was truly possible. It was a remarkable breakthrough. 3. 2 important leaders. The meeting between President Donald Trump and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was very important. However, their relationship had been difficult for some time. Over the past year, President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu did not always agree. They had different ideas about how to solve problems in the Middle East. For example, President Trump was not happy with some actions Israel had taken that made diplomatic efforts harder. When it was time to make a peace deal, President Trump used strong words. He wanted to make sure Prime Minister Netanyahu would agree. Netanyahu was unsure about parts of the peace plan. President Trump spoke directly to him, saying things like, "I don't know why you're always so negative. This is a win. Accept it." These words were meant to push Netanyahu to say yes to the deal. It became clear that President Trump held the greater power in this situation. He told reporters, "I told him, Bibi, this is your opportunity for victory." He was on board with it. He has to be on board. He has no alternative. With me, you have to be on board. This showed that President Trump was giving clear directions, not just suggestions. An Israeli writer even said that Trump doesn't just issue threats, he gives orders. This meant that Trump was now the one in charge. Prime Minister Netanyahu found himself with very few other choices. Public opinion in Israel strongly supported President Trump's peace plan, even more than it supported Netanyahu himself. Also, Netanyahu faced problems from international courts and other countries, which made his position weaker. Trump's strong support for the peace process gave Netanyahu a way to manage these difficulties. Because of this, Netanyahu had to accept the deal that President Trump put forward. This marked a big change in the power between the two leaders, making President Trump the main decision-maker for this peace effort. 4. The peace plan. President Donald Trump worked on a peace plan with 20 important points. This detailed plan aims to bring lasting peace to the Middle East after a long war. It is designed to happen in 3 main parts, or phases, moving from stopping the fighting to creating a new future for the whole region. The first phase of the plan started immediately after the agreement. This included the ceasefire, which brought quiet to Gaza after 2 years of conflict. A key part of this phase was the release of hostages. 7 Israeli hostages were freed, and the plan calls for all remaining hostages to return home. As part of this initial step, Israel also began to pull back some of its soldiers from certain areas. Furthermore, a major goal of this first phase is to increase humanitarian aid flowing into Gaza. The plan expects about 600 trucks carrying food, medicine, and other necessary supplies to enter Gaza every day, helping countless people who have suffered during the war. Following the successful completion of the first phase, the second part of the peace plan will begin. This next step focuses on the future governance of Gaza. An important international body will be formed to manage Gaza's affairs. President Trump himself will be a central figure in leading this new administration. Other key international leaders, such as former British Prime Minister Tony Blair, will also join this group. Their main tasks will include ensuring that Hamas gives up its military weapons and helps Gaza move towards a civilian government. During this transition time, Israel will still be responsible for security to make sure the area stays safe and stable. The third and final phase of the peace plan is the most far-reaching. It looks beyond Gaza to bring a bigger peace to the entire Middle East region. This part of the plan hopes to build on past successes, like the Abraham Accords, which President Trump helped create. The goal is for more Arab countries to establish normal relations and become friends with Israel. The plan also considers the possibility of establishing a Palestinian state. By addressing the root causes of the conflict, this comprehensive approach aims to change the region. It seeks to replace old conflicts with new cooperation and friendship, creating a more stable and hopeful future for everyone living in the Middle East. 5. A big meeting in Egypt. President Donald Trump flew from Jerusalem to Sharm el-Sheikh in Egypt. This city, located by the beautiful Red Sea, was the next important stop. Here, a very big international meeting was held. President Trump and Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi were the main hosts, leading the summit together. Leaders from more than 20 countries arrived for this gathering. Many important global figures were present, including the Secretary-General of the United Nations, the President of France, the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, the President of Turkey, and the Chancellor of Germany. All these leaders came to show their strong support for the new peace plan in the Middle East. They wanted to help bring lasting quiet after 2 years of war. It was notable that neither Israeli officials nor representatives from Hamas attended this summit. The meeting had a specific purpose. It was for the nations that would help guarantee the peace, not for direct talks between the two main parties. This approach allowed the international community to coordinate its support for the peace process without the complications that direct interactions between Israel and Hamas might bring. It sent a clear message that the world was united in making the peace deal a success. Sharm el-Sheikh was chosen for good reason. This Red Sea resort city had been the place for many important talks that led to President Trump's peace agreement. Egyptian officials explained that this meeting was a decisive step toward bringing stability back to the region. The main goals were to fully end the war in Gaza, strengthen efforts to establish peace in the Middle East, and begin a new chapter of security. Egypt played a crucial part in all these efforts. It had been a key mediator, helping to bring the sides closer for peace discussions. Now, by hosting this large international summit, Egypt showed itself to be a central partner for peace. All the world leaders present promised their full support for the peace process. They truly hoped this plan would lead to a better, safer future for everyone. French President Emmanuel Macron spoke about a great hope for the region. UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres called the agreement a desperately needed breakthrough. German Chancellor Friedrich Merz believed it offered a real prospect of peace. These positive words from global leaders highlighted the shared international desire for a long-term solution. This collective promise was essential for the peace plan to move forward successfully. 6. New friends in the Middle East. The new peace plan was very important for the Middle East. It was connected to something called the Abraham Accords. President Donald Trump had started the Abraham Accords during his first time in office. With these accords, Israel became friends with some Arab countries. The United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, and Morocco made peace with Israel. This was a big step then, showing that peace was possible. Now, the new plan wanted to do even more. The main goal was for more Arab countries to become friends with Israel. This meant more countries would recognize Israel as a nation. They would also work together on different things. This could change the whole region in a big way. Saudi Arabia is a very important Arab country. It had always said that it would not be friends with Israel until the problem between Israelis and Palestinians was solved. The ongoing conflict in Gaza was a big part of this problem. Solving the problems in Gaza was key to this bigger plan for the region. For a long time, the situation with the Palestinians was a main reason why other Arab countries did not want to make peace with Israel. It was a barrier. But now, with a plan for Gaza's future and clear steps towards peace, this big problem could start to be removed. President Trump's plan gave a way to manage Gaza. It also showed a path for Palestinians to have more control over their own future. This made it much easier for countries like Saudi Arabia to think about peace with Israel. The third part of the peace plan was about bringing the whole region closer. This included the idea of a Palestinian state, where Israelis and Arab nations could have normal relationships. This new peace could mean more trade between countries, more people traveling, and more working together on important projects. It would make wars less likely in the future. Everyone would benefit from a more stable and peaceful region. This was not just about stopping one war. It was about creating a new Middle East. Countries would work together for a better and brighter future. The United States, with President Trump's strong leadership, was helping to make this new future possible. It was a chance for new kinds of friendship and cooperation in a place that has seen much conflict. The hope was that by solving the Gaza issue, a wider peace across the Middle East would finally happen. This peace could bring new economic growth and a stronger sense of security for everyone living there. It was a bold vision for lasting change. 7. What people think. Many people in Israel and America have shown strong support for the new peace plan. Recent numbers from surveys prove this. These surveys asked what different groups of people think about the plan President Donald Trump has put forward. In Israel, a poll was taken and the results were clear. 72% of Israelis said they support President Trump's plan for peace in Gaza. Only 8% of people were against it. Even among voters who usually support Prime Minister Netanyahu's government, 41% backed the plan. This was a new thing, as support for a peace plan had not been higher than opposition among these voters since the war began. American people also strongly support the effort to end the war. 81% of voters in America want the United States to help stop the fighting in Gaza. This includes many people who are strong supporters of President Trump. A large majority, 88%, of these supporters believe it is important for the United States to keep helping, even if there are problems or disagreements along the way. One of the most important findings is about the shared ideas between Israelis and Palestinians. A special survey asked people from both sides about a future peace. 73% of Israelis and 83% of Palestinians said they would support a deal. This deal would include both Israel and a Palestinian state recognizing each other. It would also mean full friendship and cooperation with other countries in the region. This kind of agreement between Israelis and Palestinians is new and very important. It creates a strong base for lasting peace. In the past, this shared understanding was often missing in peace talks. This public support from both sides, as well as from America, is a crucial part of moving forward. It shows that many people are ready for a new beginning and for a future without war. 8. The future of the Middle East. The meetings of President Donald Trump in Israel and Egypt marked a very important moment in history. For 2 years, there was terrible fighting. Now, a new peace plan has brought a ceasefire. It stopped the war and helped bring hostages home to their families. This has given much hope to many people. This big step is like an earthquake in diplomacy, changing how things work in the Middle East. But even with this big step, many problems are still there. For example, Hamas has not yet formally agreed to give up all its weapons. In Israel, some political leaders still do not want a Palestinian state. And new Israeli settlements continue to grow in the West Bank. Also, the plan does not fully make everyone happy. Israeli and Palestinian people have many different ideas about how the future should look. These are big challenges that will take time and effort to solve. However, the plan has opened a new path. It has shown that peace is truly possible after a long war. Many leaders from over 20 countries came together in Egypt for a special summit. They all promised to help build a more stable future for the region. This shows that the world wants to see lasting peace in the Middle East. President Trump's strong leadership has changed how countries in the region work together. It has helped create new friendships, building on past efforts like the Abraham Accords. This brings a chance for a new cooperation. This big diplomatic event truly means a lot for the world. It shows that even very old and difficult problems can have new solutions. There is a strong commitment to rebuild Gaza, with money and help coming from other wealthy countries. This could help people there have a much better life. The entire region could see more peace, more trade, and more economic growth. This is a massive change, a true shift in power and hope that could last for many years. It is about building trust and finding common ground. The future of the Middle East still needs much hard work and ongoing talks. Leaders must keep communicating and working together to make this peace last. But this peace plan offers a bright light and a real chance. It gives people a reason to believe in a much better tomorrow for everyone living in the region. What do you think will be the biggest challenge for peace in the Middle East in the coming years?
Hey there! Just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really, really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world. Thank you.